How you doing? This is Terence Lester. Right now I'm at MD Therrell High School. I'm about to do the pre-commencement ceremony here. I'm so excited, man. I tell you the truth. I'm really excited about this because I'll be given the opportunity to speak to graduating seniors. I just pray that God uses me to say something that will not only impact the students for the rest of their lives, but also impact their parents. In my message today, I want to inspire somebody for the kingdom of God just to be all that they were created to be.
Could we give the graduation candidates a round of applause? It's been a long, laborious road, but they finally made it. And I want you to yell this at them. Don't say it soft, don't say it quietly. Say, find your picture. Find your picture. You may be seated. I remember 8 years ago, as a 17-year-old young man, sitting in my home pre-commencement ceremony. I remember the exact thing that I had on. I had this white dress shirt that I had just bought from Burlington Coat Factory. I didn't know that I had to iron clothes back then, so I just took it out of the wrapper and I put it on. And I had on these black dress pants. They were my only pair at that time. And I used to wear them to all of my events, everything that I had to dress up for. And I remember them because they had a hole in the right pocket. And I also had on these black pair of shoes. They were so run down because I borrowed them from one of my friends. And I remember sitting in my pre-commencement ceremony, and I was sitting off in the faint distance, way in the back. And I'm just observing everything that's going on. But I never forget how I was feeling at that moment. I felt full of shame. I felt so disgraced and so deeply embarrassed. I was so sad on this day. Because although that, I was at my pre-commencement ceremony, I wasn't going to graduate. I was only there watching my friends walk in the same class that I was going to graduate in. And I remember feeling so embarrassed because as I sat in the back in the faint distance, I literally had no picture of what I would become in life. I had no picture of everything that I could do with my life. I felt so embarrassed. I felt empty. I felt full of shame. And it's almost like this frame that I brought here today. As you look at it, frames are meant to hold pictures. We're all meant to hold pictures, and pictures are so related to purpose because the images that you have in your mind determines your reality. And here it is, I'm sitting in the back with no picture. Every image that you have in your mind will become your reality. If you see yourself doing nothing, you'll do nothing. If you see yourself not finishing college, you're not going to finish. If you see yourself not owning the business that you feel so deeply within your soul to own, you will never own it because we become our images. It's so amazing how much of importance that images play in our minds, and images determine 3 things. Say 3 things. Images determine our thoughts. Our images determine our desires. And lastly, our images determine our direction. You can always tell somebody who doesn't have any images of themselves because they're always doing nothing. They're always wasting time. And I come here to tell you that if you have an image of being successful, that if you have an image of seeing yourself own a business, if you have an image of seeing yourself do something great in life, you can allow that thing to happen. The word picture in the dictionary means vivid description or to show. And the word frame means design. So when you put them together, it means to show your design. So when you walk across that stage in the graduation ceremony, this is announcing the start of your life. So you need to understand that when I walk across the stage and I get my certificate or my diploma, it doesn't stop here. I need to constantly be pursuing something. I need to constantly be working on something because I have to show my design. The only reason that I'm able to stand here today is because I found a picture. And once you find a picture that is greater than your past, you start to forget your past and pursue that picture that is greater before you. You have to find your picture. The size of your picture determines the size of your frame. So if you have a small picture of yourself, if you're always talking about, man, I grew up in a single parent household, if you're always talking about, I don't have any money, or if you're always talking about gas is too high, if you have this small mentality, if you have a small image of yourself, you'll never become anything great in life because your picture determines the size of your frame. Your picture determines the size of your world. And it wasn't until I got a bigger picture to start thinking that, hey, I can finish school. I went back to school and I graduated. I graduated late, but I still graduated. And as I look back over my life, I think about myself. I ask myself, was it the 26 counselors, principals, and teachers to tell me that I would never be nothing in life that stopped me? Was it the youth detention centers my mom had to come pick me up from time after time when I was still finding myself? Was it the gang members that came to my mother's house trying to take my life time after time? Was it the 26 classes that I failed in high school that stopped me? No. It was my unwillingness to find my own purpose or my own picture. And I never forget going into a bookstore at 18 years old after I graduated. And I walked in this bookstore and I picked up this book. I wasn't with my friends. And they had this picture of Martin Luther King on it. And then it said, I have a dream. So I'm starting to think about this thing. I said, man, I can see myself writing books. Man, I can see myself speaking just like this man. Just because I grew up in a household with a single parent, just because I grew up in a household with dysfunction, didn't mean that I couldn't find a bigger picture. See, sometimes you have to go and you'll say, my frame is too small. You'll say, I grew up in a single parent household. You'll say, I failed so many classes in high school. But you can always go and get a bigger picture that